Top 10 Japanese documentary shows I have loved, from 1991 to 2011, written by Khatzumoto, posted in June of 2011. We talk a lot about dramas and anime, but there's definitely more to life and media than fiction. For someone who basically only reads nonfiction, I've pretty much shortchanged the heck out of you AJATTers when it comes to recommending Japanese documentaries. Until now. All these famous English language docs you love so much, from Sicko to Super Size Me, are available dubbed in Japanese, but that's all I'll say about those. Today, let's focus on domestic, homegrown Japanese stuff. Okay, anyway, in no particular order, here we go. 1. Gaia no Yoake, or Gaia's Dawn. Business-based show. Follows innovative companies in one industry per episode. A bit Kaisha Banzai, or Long Live Any and All Corporations. Footnote 1. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a hippie from Portland or anything. I'm all about bling, hookers, and blow. It's just, this show likes to make out working for a company to be this normal and wonderful thing, which in Japan it generally just isn't. Working for most Japanese companies is a crock of bull. That's an elephant in the room that I want pointed out, not ignored or filed under shogunai, or can't be helped. End footnote. For my taste at times, but still, you get exposed to some really inspiring people and ideas, you get them horizons broadened. 2. Toribia no Izumi, or The Fount of Trivia. Not really a documentary show, but then not really a quiz show either. Basically, a bunch of famous people gather in a studio, are shown some trivia, and then react to how awesome it is. 3. Bakusho Mondai no Nippon no Kyoyo, or Bakusho Mondai's Education for the Nation. 1 hour, one thought leader, usually a Nobel-level college professor, one field of expertise, 2 comedians taking the mickey. Pretty sweet. 4. BS Manga Yawa, or Manga Night Talk. 1 night, 1 hour, 1 manga. A bunch of wacky, intelligent people. I was watching the show even back before I could understand what was actually being said. The panelists were like my uncles and aunts, sitting at the grown-up table discussing grown-up stuff whose importance I could feel, but whose meaning I could not fully grasp. Plus, there were pretty pictures. I love this show as much now as I did then. I like people, but I love this show. Side note, the MC, Otsuki Takahiro, a professor of folklorists. Footnote 2. Fear not, this show strikes a delightful balance in that the commentary is intelligent, but never pedantic or self-indulgently academic. These guys know what they're talking about, but they make you, the viewer, feel like an equal, like a friend. End footnote. Is a total jerk to women, but not in a sexy, kiss me you fool way. He's not negging, he's just being abusive. But he grows on you, winky face. Footnote 3. Why am I winking? End footnote. I mean, one thing you can say in his defense is that he doesn't suffer fools. He has no patience for women who pretend to like comics just to look cute. He seems to want people to actually know what they're talking about. And he did finally get a female assistant MC, Sasamine Ai, who could hold her own. Before Ai became a de facto regular, one of Otsuki's eye candy assistants was actually illiterate. She was hot, of Japanese descent, but could not read. On a show about books, Otsuki was, let's just say he didn't seem too thrilled, smiley face. It was a real miscast, and the fault lies with the talent agency, not the performer, Tina Nakamura herself. Nakamura's particular energetic, kawaii-kei style would have fit really well on a lighter, fluffier program. Despite appearances, Yawa, or Night Talk, is ultimately quite a dense, literary show, one that demands a fair amount of cultural and intellectual depth of its panelists, whose nonchalantly delivered insights are rooted in an abyssal familiarity with both the work at hand and some aspect of the wider context. Forcing poor Tina to go on live TV and stumble every 2 seconds in a valiant attempt to read kanji she hadn't learned yet was a non-starter, distracting and unnecessary. Speaking of regulars, one of the show's panelists happens to be a certain Natsume Fusanosuke, manga critic and grandson of Natsume Soseki. That's like being Charles Dickens' grandson, dude. I don't know, I thought it was pretty cool, smiley face. He likes to joke about how his dad, Soseki's son, was a total slacker who spent his life living off Soseki's royalties, funding the worldwide hookers and blow industry. Footnote 4. Except he's not joking, smiley face. End footnote. By the way, Soseki's works are all public domain now, so yeah. Similar or related or spin-off shows, often featuring the same panelists, include BS Anime Yawa, Okada Toshio no Hitori Yawa, Okada Toshio no Puchikuri Gakuen, and Manga no Genba. 5. Hakase mo Shiranai Nippon no Ura, or Dr. Suido Bashi's Japan Uncovered. Words cannot describe the awesomeness of this show. It was web original and web only, allowing its hosts and guests to say things that supposedly apparently can't be said on regular Japanese TV. Golden stuff. A sequel series, Hakase no Ijo na Teidan, or Dr. Suido Bashi's Talkie Threesome, was made for real TV. I'd like to complain that it wasn't as good as the web show, but it was pretty darn good. I think I might have preferred the guests on the original, but that's probably just the fanboy inside me finding fault. 6. Project X Chousen Shatachi, or Project X Challengers. Ever wonder about the backstory behind all the legendary Japanese technology that has brightened our days and nights since we were but babies? Well, that's what this show is all about. A tad hagiographic at times, but still good stuff. I mean, it's nice to see Japanese people genuinely pat the nation on the back, because that's something I feel happens all too rarely. What else? Oh yeah, the theme song for this show got pretty famous and has been subject to a lot of parody. Some junk about the Pleiades, which is Subaru. I don't know. 7. Cambodia Kyuden, or the Cambrian Temple. I don't actually like this show that much. There was like one interesting episode once somewhere, but a lot of people do. I don't know, man, it has its moments. But if Gaia is company worship, this is like unzipping the company's fly and performing a televised public sex act. I mean, really, stop writing the CEO already. Call darn, yo. For more sucking up, check out Professionaru Shigoto no Ryugi, or Professional, The Way of Work, the most pathetic show ever. Yay, another sleep-deprived, middle-aged man who's marginally famous in his field, has no life, and gets paid in pride and adulation instead of actual money. I think I just wet myself. Excuse me while I change my panties. 8. NHK Special, or NHK Special. NHK Special isn't a single documentary series. Rather, it's an umbrella thingy housing multiple independent documentary series. Pretty much anything that bears the NHK Special name turns to gold. Talk about parastatal agencies getting it right, huh? Who would have thought? I guess the sun shines on everybody's behind at some point, doesn't it? Smiley face. So yeah, pretty much anything that is NHK Special is the shizzle. But were I required to whittle it down, I'd say that 2 of my personal favorites have been NHK Special Denshi Rikkoku Nippon no Jijoden, or Birth of an Electric Nation, an epic autobiography of Japanese gadget awesomeness. Title is pretty freaking self-explanatory. Better than Project X in that the scope is larger, none of that cheesily over-dramatized one man with a dream spin. Footnote 5. OMG. I sound like such a little collectivist hippie today. Smiley face. End footnote. There is a follow-up to this series, where the original 1991 Ben focused on hardware, especially microchips. The follow-up series, Ben 2, Shin, Denshi Rikkoku, made 4 to 5 years after the original, focuses on software and is more international in scope. NHK Special Seimei 40 nen Harukana Tabi, or Life, a journey of 4.6 billion years. Okay, we all know that life actually began 6,000 years ago in Missouri, but for entertainment's sake, there's this show. It's an oldie. The CGI is kind of dated and crap now. Homeboy first aired in 1994, but a goodie. There's even a manga version. 9. NHK BS Sekai no Dokumentari, or NHK Satellite World Documentaries. NHK takes the best documentaries from around the world, sticks some preliminary commentary on the front end, and dubs the main content into Japanese. And 10. NHK Close-Up Gendai, or NHK Close-Up on Our Times. More wide-ranging in scope than a regular news magazine, a tad bit narrower perhaps than a regular documentary, but overall it makes for really good TV. I won't lie, dude, NHK can seem sterile and lame, but they get it right a lot. I mean, they made Salaryman Neo, or Salaryman Neo, a vicious satire on modern employee life in Japan. These people don't mess around. They don't only use those license fees for hostesses, hookers, and Dom Perignon. And that ends my list for today. It's not really expansive, exhaustive, or anything. It's just stuff that I've watched and thus know about, that you might not otherwise have heard of. It's a bit NHK heavy. It totally wasn't my intention to big up the old Nihon Hoso Kyokai, but I mean, they are the ones spending cash on educational TV, quite unlike the private terrestrial TV stations who mostly focus on pouring out a steady stream of unfunny, low-budget, quote-unquote variety shows that show an increasing lack of variety. Footnote 6. Oh, I'm not bitter. End footnote. So yeah, there you go. Let's hear your recommendations, smiley face.